Oh, he's taking his jacket off.
Oh, he's serious now.
Come on, Bob. Come on, Bob. Show us what you've got, Bob.
Look at those guns. What a legend. It's Bob Odenkirk.
Hey! Come on.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bob. How are you, pal?
I'm good. I'm having a great day.
I want to get to your movie, but it's great just to see you, my friend. And how's life? You must be having a good time at the moment.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm getting to talk about this movie that I love and that I've sat with audiences and just enjoyed their reactions because they laugh and they can't believe what they're seeing. It's really a fun audience film. And I'm getting to do action films and everything. So having fun.
Bob, did you ever think that you would turn into the next big action hero?
No, never, never. I did sketch comedy for most of my life. I wrote sketch comedy. I wrote on Saturday Night Live. I wrote my own show called Mr. Show with my friend David Cross, and then many other shows like Tenacious D, and I helped a little with Tim and Eric, who a lot of young people know, and other shows that you never heard of. And that's what I did. And then one day I got a phone call asking me to be on Breaking Bad. Wow. Which was not a popular show at the time. And then that turned into a career in drama. And then I had a weird brain fart one day when I was riding my bike around Albuquerque, and I thought, I think I could do an action movie. I'm willing to train. And I called my manager. I was on my bike, and I said, what about action? I'll get to work. And he started looking for a story and worked with this guy, Derek Kolstad, who wrote John Wick, and he came up with a story for nobody, and there we go. Somehow it happened.
What a career journey, by the way. Can I just say, your work in comedy is standalone, absolutely brilliant, and the shows that you worked on, and then to have this career pivot. And look, you stopped along the way. I want to just roll back to one of those names you mentioned, Breaking Bad. How much of a difference has that made to your life and career?
Oh, it turned everything completely. I mean, this action sequence of films, it wouldn't exist without Breaking Bad. And the Broadway show that I did last year wouldn't exist. All these things, I would never, I always suspected that I probably belonged as an actor in a drama role, because I did comedy and I would be on stage and I did fine, but I did good as a writer, but as a performer, I was nothing compared to some of the people I shared the stage with. Chris Farley, David Cross, Jack Black. Wow. These are people who I performed with and knew, and I would always think, well, I don't know why anyone would watch me when that person is standing 2 feet away from me. But I also thought if I was in a drama, I could be maybe the funniest character in the drama. And somehow it happened. But I never pursued it. I never auditioned for it. I never took classes. It just was a stroke of luck at the age of 45 to get that opportunity.
See, I first came across you in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, season 1. I mean, and that to me was absolutely phenomenal. And obviously that was kind of all improvised. Did you enjoy doing that?
Oh, great fun. Yeah, all improvised. All I got was Larry called me up and said, you're a porn star.
That's right.
And you're going to come up, you need to come up with 2 stories from your filmmaking days that are not appropriate for a dinner party. And so I came up with the story about using Tabasco sauce to maintain your
area.
Excitement. I love that.
It was so much fun to do that. I mean, that kind of performing, which is improvisation based on a rough outline, nothing more fun than that.
I bet you. Yeah. But when did you find out when you were doing Breaking Bad that they were going to do a spin-off? Did you get any sort of kind of...
Let's listen. The first scene that I did. First scene that I did with Bryan Cranston. We're in the office. I'm talking to him. Somewhere around the 3rd take, we did the scene, and one of the cameramen said, the director said cut, and the cameraman said, can I get a job on the sequel? And everyone laughed.
Wow.
And And then there was always this talk about, what about a show for Saul? Wouldn't that be great fun? All the crew would talk about it. And then Vince Gilligan, the writer of Breaking Bad and then Better Call Saul, and now the show Pluribus, which people love.
Love that.
Great show. Every year, he would corner me and say, what do you think? You think there's a show in Saul? And here's the guy who would write it and who has all the, I'm not going to write it. And I would say to him, I don't know, do you? It's your creation. And he would say, I think there might be. And then that's all it was that rumor for the next 4 years. Wow. And then about a few months after the end of Breaking Bad, I got a phone call, come have lunch with us. And we had lunch at the Chateau Marmont, me and Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould. And that's where they said, like, we're very serious about this. We think there's a show telling us, who Saul is, filling in the question mark of who that character, what's he made of, what's his backstory, and how did he become that guy? And I said, guys, look, if you write it, I'll do it. That's it.
Cool,
I'm not going to ask, I didn't want to be in the position of begging or pushing them. They were my friends. They'd already given me a greater opportunity than I could have ever asked for, and I didn't want to put any pressure on them. So I just said, I'll do it if you write it. But at the time, they weren't sure if it would be a half hour long and a comedy, or they were talking about it's 1 hour, and every week Saul has a different client, what they call a procedural, right? Oftentimes it's a detective show. But every week Saul has a different client, and every week he solves that client's problem without going to court. He never goes to court. He's a lawyer who's never stepped foot in court. He just manipulates the judge and the other lawyer, and these are all clever ideas, and then they landed where they landed, which is a show closer to Breaking Bad in its DNA.
I need to know, though, back to the very beginning of the story, did you employ the cameraman to work on Better Call Saul? Because it was his actor.
Yes, we did.
Was he there?
Yes.
Wonderful.
The crew carried over through those shows, about 3/4 of them, yes.
The cameraman knew right away.
Guy, man.
I want to find that guy and get next week's lottery results. That man knows what's coming. Let's talk about where you are right now. You enter a town called Normal in this brand new action comedy. And Bob, this place is anything but normal.
That's right. It's a small Midwestern town. I play the interim sheriff. He's there for a short time because the previous sheriff died in a mysterious way. And I'm there. I'm meant to just keep things copacetic for about 8 weeks. And this is like a lot of small towns in America. It's had a hard time financially, and about half the town is shut down. But the other half is doing really well. They've got money. Now, where do they get that money? Because they're in the middle of Minnesota. That's a mystery. And all I can tell you is at a certain point, the Yakuza show up.
Wow.
And then the action begins. Cannot wait to see that. Also want to mention something about Bob. I know that you've spent some time here in Scotland at various points. I think you were here last year as well.
Yes, I was. I was there for the festival. I was there for, the comedy festival.
Yeah. Oh, man. What does it mean, obviously, as someone from a comedy background to be in Edinburgh for the biggest comedy festival in the world?
Well, I've heard about the Fringe my whole career. I mean, when I was in Chicago, before I got Saturday Night Live, I had friends going to the Fringe and talking about it. And so to get to go finally, and I've been to Scotland before, and I went on a big hike with my daughter. We went on the hike up there in Fort, what's it called?
Fort William.
Fort William, and from there north. But to get to attend the Fringe and spend a week there and go to so many shows and see so many wonderful acts, it was great. It was great. Just great. I wish we had it in America, but it's very hard to replicate what you have. The spirit that you've got, the town spirit it's not something that you can just steal and put anywhere. It doesn't work. It only works there. And so congratulations. And we'll be back. My wife is a manager of talent, and so she's always scouting. And we saw some amazing shows. We saw Dan Tiernan. I remember that show. That stuck in my head. Quite a few great shows there. And so we'll be back.
Well, we can't wait to have you back here.
I'd love to do a show there.
That was my
Bob,
question.
yeah.
My question was, when you go to the Fringe and you watch all these wonderful acts, do you never just get that itch to go up and do it yourself?
Absolutely. And my son and I do kind of an act that is like, well, you wouldn't know Bob and Ray. It was a comedy radio duo. It was a lot like stuff Peter Cook did in his later years, where he would call radio stations and be a character. Yeah, we do that. And so that would be a great show, I think, at the Fringe.
Well, Bob, let's make a date for that. Bring
Let's do
your
it.
show to the Fringe. Let's do it. You heard it here in Heart Breakfast. And here's something you should do right now. Get to the cinema if you can at some point today or across the weekend. This film is getting such great reviews and we love it. It's called Normal and we love this guy, the star of it on Heart Breakfast this morning, Bob Odenkirk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much, Bob.
guys.
Cheers
We'll
for
see you
that.
in Edinburgh very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
This is Heart